So again, I was ashamed. I was, I was hurt, you know what I mean? And as things started to unravel, I started kind of getting my own closure and kind of figuring out what it was, because like I said, finding out that he was engaged and everything. I actually, the day that I found out that I was pregnant, I found out from one of his family members that he was back with his ex. And so it's kind of like, oh, that's what that was about, right? Like, you ghosted me and you did what you did because you found yourself back with your ex-girlfriend. So I kind of had to like find my own closure and answer my own questions, and then it just all made sense. So when I was pregnant, it was just, when I say it was such a depressive time, but again, in hindsight, when I look back on it now, when I'm able to give my testimony, I can say it's because of the way that I was interpreting it. It was the way that I was viewing it. It was my perspective about it. And so my perspective was just that I was just lost and lonely. Here I am, pregnant by this guy. Because of course, I never would have saw this, right? I would have never saw this as my reality. I would have never saw this as my life. You know what I mean? And based on the type of person I am and the type of decisions that I've always made for my life, I just felt like a failure. I felt like a failure. I felt like every other things that I've accomplished in my life just didn't mean anything, because here I am, like pregnant, like what am I gonna do? You know what I'm saying? I'm going through this alone. I literally went through my pregnancy. When I say went through my pregnancy alone, meaning that I went through my pregnancy, the first half of my pregnancy, without his support, because I can't really say that I went through it alone, because I definitely had a great support system. Again, this is things that in the hindsight, I'm able to look back at now and see it as like it was still a good thing. You know what I'm saying? It was still a good experience, but I wasn't looking at it like that at the time. Um, and I think the main thing that I went through the most with it was just the embarrassment. It was just, I just was really, really embarrassed. I was worried about like what people were saying about me, saying about the situation, you know what I'm saying? And seeing that I'm pregnant, this guy is with somebody else, engaged to somebody else. Like, I just was really worried about the public and what people were saying about my situation, how people were viewing me, which I shouldn't have been looking at it like that. I shouldn't have been looking at it like that, but I was. I'm being honest. I'm human. That's how I was looking at it, and it was just like a lot of shame. And like a lot of people don't even know this. Like a lot of my family members or family probably don't even know this, but I literally the whole I literally cried every day when I was pregnant. There was not a day that went by that I was pregnant, because I was just so lost. And of course, I've never been pregnant before. I don't have any other kids. I just didn't know what to expect. I didn't know like where my life was headed now that I'm having this baby. You know what I'm saying? It's like I can't even be happy about this baby that's growing inside of me, because I'm so focused on the future, or I'm so focused on the pain and what led me to this situation. And so it was hard for me. It was hard for me to have any hope. It was hard for me to see the other side, because I'm literally living through it. And at some point, as time goes on, I'm cutting out a lot of details because it really doesn't matter, and I don't want to paint my son's father in this negative way. It is what it is. But so like I said, the first half of my pregnancy, nowhere to be found, MIA. Second half, this was like leading into my because at the time this was when I was graduating from grad school. I would have been graduating in August of 2020. So I decided to incorporate I wanted to have a graduation party and a gender reveal. So I kind of incorporated and did like a graduation gender reveal. And at that point in my life, I can be honest, I was still dealing with a lot of like hurt and shame and everything, but I kind of started, getting to a place of accepting the situation, kind of happy that I'm creating this life, that I'm pregnant. At this point in time, I'm feeling moves in my belly from my baby. So I'm kind of like in a better and happier space, knowing that, I'm about to be a mom, I'm pregnant, my baby is moving in my belly, you know what I'm saying? But behind closed doors, I really was dealing with a lot that people probably don't even know. So, from that point forward, that's when me and my child's father started trying to like kind of develop a relationship and kind of get on better terms. But you have to imagine that it was just so awkward, and it was just so forced, and it was just so hard. It was hard for me to look at him. It was hard for me to talk to him. It was hard for me to deal with him, because because of the way that I was looking at him, the way that I was viewing him, how I was viewing the situation. It was just hard for me. It really was. I'm not trying to sit here and be a victim. I'm being honest. I was very depressed, and I remember like I used to really be concerned for my baby because I felt like me being so depressed, me not eating a lot, me crying all the time, I thought that that was going to affect my baby. I thought that that was going to affect like his growth, or I just thought that that was going to cause some type of effects to him. And I used to be really sad thinking about that. And so I used to just be trying to find ways to pull myself up out of this dark place that I was in, but it was hard. And time went on. I had my baby. My son's father he was there when I delivered my son. He was there at the hospital with me, and from that point on, we've established a co-parentship. And even during the first year, because my son is a year now, but even what I went through as far as like developing a co-parentship with him, again, I'm not going to get into a lot of details about things that has happened, or things that things that has like going on. But even that was a lot for me. You know what I mean? That was a lot to imagine me not being around this guy, not us being in such a bad place, and now we have this baby, and now we have to be in each other's face. He has to come over my house to see the baby, or that was really hard for me. And I was really I had a lot of resentment. I had a lot of anger towards him. I just felt like my whole situation was just so unfair. You know what I mean? That's just how I felt. I just felt like it was such an unfair treatment. Certain things that happened between the pregnancy, even after I had my baby, I just felt like, nobody really understood me. Nobody understood why I felt the way I felt. I just felt like this was just so unfair. You know what I mean? Like, and it was just certain things that happened. It was certain things that would happen, and I had to endure it. I had to face it. But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for me. It wasn't easy for me. I feel like everything that I the ways that I handled certain things, or my feelings towards certain things, certain ways that I may have showed up that probably wasn't the best or anything. I feel like I dealt with everything the best way that I could. Because you have to remember, like, I am human too, and I have feelings too, and this has been hard for me. This has like completely shifted my life into a completely different direction, something that I would have never saw, something that I would have never seen as my reality. My whole world has been turned upside down. Like, I'm pregnant, I'm a mom, you know what I mean? And it was just hard for me. It was really hard for me to kind of face certain things. It was really hard for me to have certain conversations. I could sit in here and talk about other things too, which is a part of my testimony, because early when the pandemic happened, I had lost my job. I lost my job, my main job, and then as some months went by, I ended up leaving my second job because, again, I was pregnant. And with the pandemic, I was kind of scared because a lot of people was coming up with cases at my part-time job, and that was at the time when we kind of didn't know what was going on with COVID. And so I ended up like leaving my second job because I was scared that I was gonna catch COVID. I just really wanted to be at home. So I was going through a place of like a lot of loneliness, a lot of just in the house, and even dealing with the situation of like not working, just feeling so worthless, just feeling like just losing so much confidence, losing myself to this pain and this situation. And as time went on, healing started to begin, and it was in this season that I really started finding myself. I really started praying and seeking God a lot, because here's the thing about my relationship with God. I've always had a relationship with God. I may have not always led my life based off of knowing that he has called me for greater things. I may have not always obeyed him when he told me to do certain things. I may have not always, lived my life according to his word, according to his plans, but God knows what he's doing. And I thank him, I thank him for this situation, because this situation was a lot. This was a lot. This would be a lot for anybody. That's why I'm telling my testimony and giving my story, to kind of really help and to get you to understand that, it's all for a reason. It's all for a reason. I don't regret anything about it, because let me tell you something. The greatest thing that came out of this situation is my baby. My baby is just such a beautiful baby. He's just such a happy baby. He's just been such a blessing to both me, my family, his father and his family. He's just such a beautiful soul. He's just changed my life for the better. Like, my son, he is everything to me. Like, I'm nothing. First of all, I'm nothing without God, but I'm really nothing without him. Like, I didn't know that I needed him, but I did. You know what I mean? I needed my baby, because this journey of motherhood has just brought so much happiness to me. It's just brought so many things. It just kind of forced me to really sit down and figure out my life, and figure out what's important, really understanding my worth and my value, the things that I want to, the type of life that I want to live, the type of standards that I have in my life, the type of life that I want to lead for my son. It's just kind of changed. Where I was before then, I was lost, I was broken. But from this place, from this experience, from this pain, it has brought so much purpose for me. It has just opened my eyes up to so many things, with so many things about myself, so many of my gifts, my purpose, just being able to see, like, my destiny, and knowing that God brought me here for a certain reason. He allowed the situation to happen for a reason, because look at what has come from it. Look at what I would have never, this was something I would never have done, you know what I mean? But it took for something like this to happen, for me to dig up this voice, and to be able to own my story, and to put it out there, and to use these different experiences like this one. This is a big experience in my life. This was something big that has transformed my life. But being able to find things within myself, certain experiences that I've went through, to be able to get on this platform and share it with others, and hoping that the things that I've gone through, the things that I've endured, showing how I made it out on the other side, showing, what helped me, what didn't help me, showing just how God has, completely changed me and healed me. I want to be a vessel for him, and I want others to see. I want others to see the light, and I want, especially moms, that I really want, like, single moms, women that's dealing with even abandonment right now. Let's say right now you're dealing with a pregnancy, you've been abandoned while pregnant, you're going through a pregnancy alone. I want you to be able to see this, look at my story, and look at my testimony, and understand that it's going to be okay. You might not have any hope now. You might not, see where this is going. You might feel broken. You might not, you might feel so lost. But one thing that I could take from this whole situation, I could sit up here all day long and talk about, oh, the pain, oh, the this, oh, the that. But one thing that never changed throughout this whole situation is that God literally was with me every step of the way. Every step of the way. The nights that I cried, he lifted my head. He lifted my head. The times when I just didn't understand, he gave me peace. You know what I'm saying? Situations where I'm dealing with resentment, when I was dealing with resentment towards my son's father, towards my situation, he gave me a different perspective. At one point, like I said, when I was pregnant, I was really ashamed. I was ashamed. I would have never been able to tell the public this. I would have never wanted people to know. Like, a lot of people, from my hometown and stuff, they probably were doing a lot of talking, but nobody really knew what happened or what was going on behind closed doors. That was something that I never would have talked about, because I was ashamed. I was hiding it. But now, on the other side of it, I'm able to share it. I'm able, because I'm not ashamed anymore. I'm not, I'm not in pain anymore. I'm not depressed anymore. I'm in a better place. And everything from this situation has been it might not have looked like a good thing, but it has been good for me because it really has built my character. You know what I mean? It really has. I have had to face certain things that I would have never wanted to face. I have had to have a lot of conversations and come to a lot of, conclusions about a lot of things. I have to face a lot of things that had I not gone through this situation, I would have never learned, or I would have never been able to face, or I would have never been able to find my own strength to make it through certain things. And so that's why it's really a blessing. And I just thank God for, using certain things the way he needs to use them, to build us and for us to find our strength. And that's exactly what's happened in this situation. You know what I mean? And I'm just so happy to have been able to, from this, I have found my purpose. That's why I'm able to do this. Why I'm able to sit right here in front of this video, because I know what my purpose is. I know what my spiritual gifts is. It's for me to encourage. It's for me to uplift other women, uplift single women, uplift women that's going through this same type of situation. Had this not happened, I wouldn't be able to have this experience. So I wouldn't be able to help other women that's now dealing with this, or that's maybe has gone through this, but still haven't gone through a healing process. And this is what I'm here for. I'm here to show you, what God has done in me, what he has showed me to bring me through this season, and to let you know that you too can make it through. You know what I mean? What the devil meant for bad, because see, me finding myself in this situation has everything to do with me. It has nothing to do with God. I found myself in this situation because of the decisions that I made. You know what I mean? And from that, the devil took the situation and made it, he needed to do what he needed to do in the situation to like make me, give up, or, he'll use things to make people feel like stuff is so hard you might want to commit suicide. That obviously that's nothing that I went through or anything, but he will make it, make you feel like, even like a situation like this, make you feel like worthless, make you feel like, oh, look at you, your son's father, he rejected you, you don't deserve love, you don't, what I'm saying, this all you ever gonna be now you just gonna be a bitter baby mom, and you ain't gonna never have nothing in life, that's what he'll do. Those are the type of thoughts that he will try to place on our minds and keep us defeated in our situations. And so this is what I'm saying, what the devil means for bad, God means for good, because yeah, it happened. Yeah, I went through it, but God used it for my good, because look at what it's done for me. I endured this. I learned everything I need to learn. So now I know going forward, this is a situation that would never happen. From this, now I know I'm very intentional. You know what I mean? I'm very intentional with the type of men that I'm dating and I'm giving my time to going forward. That's important. God wanted this to happen, because he wanted to prepare me for my kingdom husband. You know what I mean? Because he already has a husband stored up for me. And if I'm sitting around here steady giving my time and energy to these men that aren't for me, that will never be for me, I'm never going to be able to find my kingdom husband. I would have never been able to find my purpose had he not used a situation as big as this to help me to find it, to help me to heal and find my strength, find my voice, you know what I mean, and go through certain situations so that I can learn from it. That's all it is. It's just learning, and it's a blessing. But the thing is, how are you applying it? You have to use I know this is cliche, they say this all the time, but you really do. You have to turn your pain into power. Turn your pain into power. Whatever your story is, don't be afraid to share it. Don't be afraid to own it. This is your testimony. This is a good thing. You know what I'm saying? It might have not always been a good thing. You might have cried a lot of nights. You might have wanted to give up, but you're still here. You're still here. I'm still here. And this is my story. This is my testimony. This is what I went through. And God turned it around for something good, because there's so much to come. There's so much to come from this. I now have my baby. I would have never saw myself as a mom. I never would have saw myself having a baby and not being married. Because if that's the case, I would have been had a baby. I'm about to be 30 years old. If that's the case, I would have been had a baby. I done dealt with a lot of guys in my life. You know what I mean? If that was the case. But that was something that I would have never signed up for. You know what I mean? And I had a lot of, like I said, I had a lot of shame and guilt towards being like having a baby and not being married. And you know, not even unfortunately, but that's what it is now. I do have a baby. I have a baby, and I'm not, you know, I'm not with my son's father. I'm not married and everything, and I never would have saw that happening, but it happened. And sometimes you got to understand that, you know, sometimes life is just what it is. You know, we don't see certain things. We don't see certain things as our reality, but sometimes we just have to kind of accept things as it goes, and we can't beat ourselves up. We can't be ashamed. You know, we have to know that your story does not end here. Your story does not end here. You don't know what God can do with your story. You don't know how he could change things around for the better. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And even what he's doing in your life, you know, transforming your mind, and, you know, the path that you're headed in, or what's to come. There's so much more to come. As long as you have lungs and you have breath in your body, and you getting up every day, just put one step in front of the next, put one foot in front of the next, and just continue to let God lead you. And I just really want those that are going through a tough season, those that, you know, that this message, what my testimony is, who it kind of resonates with, I just want you to have hope. I know that it's hard. I know that you don't see it. You just don't see it. You just stuck right here, and this is all you see. What your situation is. You thinking about, you know, you can't even see the future. Of course, I get all of that because I've been there, but you have to be hopeful and know that you are going to make it to the other side of this. This is just a season. This is just a season. Yes, you might be a single mother. Yes, you're going through a pregnancy alone. I get it. Because like I just told you what my story is. But you just have to have some hope. I know you don't see it. I know you don't see how it's going to change. I know you don't understand all of it. It's not meant for you to understand right now. But as time goes on, as you continue to go through this healing process, God is going to start revealing so much to you. He's going to just start doing so much in your life, so much in your mind, and he's going to bring you out of whatever this space you're in, this dark space, this depressive space, this space of thinking that this is where your story ends. He's going to start beginning to show you what he has for you, and showing you the future that he has for you. You know what I mean? And it's just so much to come. It's so much to come. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take some time, but you're going to make it through this. And I'm just here to encourage you. I hope that my testimony and my story, it helps you. I hope that it really helps you. I hope that it helps. I hope that you begin to just really trust God during this time. Because like I said, you could be going through a place of loneliness, feeling like nobody is around, nobody understands you. But the one person that's going to give you peace, that's going to give you joy, that's going to be there with you through it all, is nobody but Jesus. He's going to stay by your side. He's going to be the friend that you never thought you needed, or that you never had. And it's just going to be a different type of feeling. And I'm just so happy, man. When I just think about that place, oh my God, I was so angry. I had so much resentment, so much built up, all this anger and animosity, and just angry about my life, my situation, my son's father, and then, you know, kind of being on the other side of it. And now that all that stuff is kind of like out of me, and it's like, whoo. That's how I was. That's how I was operating. Like, you know, but it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. You know, God uses. Sometimes we have to suffer. Sometimes we have to suffer. We have to go through suffering. We try to avoid it, but sometimes sometimes it's what we need. We need it sometimes so that it can really build us and teach us what we need to. It teaches us what we need to be taught so that we can go on to our next level. Sometimes we're going to continue to be stuck, or we're not going to ever be able to elevate unless we go through certain experiences or certain things in our life that's going to excel us to that next level. So I hope that this helps, and I'm so happy that I have the power and I have the strength to tell my story, to own it. This is my testimony. This is my story, and I thank you guys for watching.